Hey everyone, I'm back with another video. This is gonna be a rather long video. It's been a while since I've made kind of in-depth videos, so I decided to record kind of a half an hour long video to give you an overview of the work that I've been doing on Ubo on the software side, and uh, and basically kind of walk you through the new features and capabilities and kind of showcase the work that has been done since the release version 1.7, which is already on GitHub, the ongoing work that has been under progress. This work is going to be released as version probably 2.0 because it's a major release and it packs a lot of new features and capabilities. Some of the stuff that I'm working on is still not ready for demoing, so I'm just going to demo and go through the parts that I have already worked on. So let's just get started. What are we looking at? So if you remember in version 1.7, we were mirroring the graphical user interface that is shown on device. And in the new version, we have a full-fledged web UI. And so when you go to the web UI posted on this URL, you can either go at this port or you can even go at this port. It's the same. There are a little bit differences from a technical side, but they give you the same kind of landing page. And so every Ubo pod has a unique name, and I'm accessing this dashboard on a local network. On the top, we have the status bar, the microphone icon, the Ethernet icon, Wi-Fi. Right now, I'm connected via an Ethernet cable. The internet globe icon, and then we have the CPU usage, RAM usage, time, and then we have the volume control. We can use this to control the volume level, and then this is the microphone button that you can press to talk to the device through the browser. So we have like now the capability that you can talk through the browser. I'm working also on a capability that you can stream your camera, your device camera inside the browser through to the device. So it's going to be like kind of a streaming audio and video to the device, so you can kind of lend your device microphone and camera to Ubo Pod, so you can talk to it remotely and then receive audio from it and also send camera stream. um, and then we have the notification button here. This is where the notifications appear, and then this is the power control, so I can reboot the device and power off the device. So this is a status bar. And then besides the status bar, when you land on the web UI, you see these three tiles, which basically mirror the behavior that is on device. Let me pull up where's the QuickTime? Right here, okay. So this is basically what we are looking at on the device. Let me make this a little bit bigger so we have more room here. I'm gonna move this here, make it a little bit bigger. So you can see here we have the app settings and about. So the same three icons that we have. I'm gonna move this. Sorry guys. A little bit of more organization. So I want to do this so that you can, okay, I can click on it. So if I click here on apps, you can see these two menus are kind of in sync. And here we have the list of all the applications. So in the new version, I have created categories for different applications so that apps are kind of tidied up under different categories. Now we have the home automation category, networking, AI agents, AI engines, remote access, files, container management, and other. Over time, you're going to extend these categories as new apps are introduced, but these are the categories that we have so far. And you can also add applications that are not already supported via add new app. So if I click on this, it's going to show me an input, so I can give it a label. What's the name of that application? What category is that going to go into? And then you can define a new category, and then copy and paste Docker Compose YAML files. So these are like Docker Compose applications. We're gonna offer different kind of application packaging down the road, but right now the main way to install new application is through a Docker Compose YAML file, and then you can specify your icon and the instructions that you're gonna show to the end user how to run and use the application, and if you want to attach files alongside of your Docker Compose, you can select file here and whatnot. I'm going to cancel right now, go back to the main page, and then here under home automation we have home assistant and home bridge. Under networking we have Envoy proxy, which we basically need for accessing gRPC API through web browser. So this is actually running right now, so you can see that Docker is running. I have the stop button and such, and then Pi-hole for blocking ads on the local network or on your network, so it's kind of an ad blocker. And here we have, so the screen kind of times out. You can press any button to wake up the screen. So we have AI agents. I'm going to go into that in a bit. AI engines, and then remote access. So in remote access, we have ngrok, Pangolin, and Twingate. I'm going to show you a demo of Pangolin in this video. I have another video linked in the video description that I demo Twingate. I'll make another video down the road for ngrok. It's fairly straightforward to set it up, and all these applications allow you to access your device from outside your home network. So it's kind of a reverse proxy or a VPN kind of system that each of them kind of have different ways of allowing you to access your services that you're running on device locally on your home network securely. So let's go to files. Here in files we have Immich and file system. I have more to tell you about these two. I'll go back in a bit. And then container management, we have Portainer. You can install and do more fancy container management, and that's it. And then another, right now I have Pangolin that I manually installed here, but it can be any other application that you install. Okay, so a few exciting updates here on AI agents. So on AI agents, now we have support for Hermes agent and OpenClaw, as well as N8N. So you can easily install these applications with a single click and get up and running with Hermes agent and OpenClaw. The long-term roadmap is to have a tighter integration, system integration with especially Hermes agent. I'm really happy with Hermes agent. It's a self-learning agentic system, and you can actually, like, I have a feature that I'm working on that you can actually talk to Hermes agent through the onboard microphones and the speakers, and you can say, hey Hermes, and start talking to it. And so I'm doing more deeper integration with Hermes agent, and I want to kind of unleash Hermes agent so that it can access various parts of the hardware. It can kind of notify you, show you notification. You can connect sensors that it can easily understand those sensors and kind of build intelligence around them and whatnot. So this is kind of work in progress. But as of now, you can install Hermes agent or OpenClaw and set them up. And yeah, you just have to pull the image, and there are a bunch of installation steps. I will probably have an in-depth video for each of these agentic systems down the road, but I would rather keep this video at kind of higher level and like an overview of existing features and the new features that I have added. And then AI engines, you can run Ulama and OpenWebUI. OpenWebUI is really not an engine. Maybe I should move it somewhere else. But with Ulama, you can actually run local models, depending on how much RAM you have. You know, we offer kind of a list of models that you can pick from, but you can always go into the code and add other models if you want. Yeah, okay, so that's pretty much it. Okay, so now files, two things here. So we have support now for Immich. Immich is an open source alternative to Google Photos. So basically, if you don't want to send your photos host your photos on iCloud or Google Photos or Dropbox or anywhere else, and you want to self-host your images, now you can run Immich on Ubo Pod. And the Immich is developed by our friends at FUTO, and FUTO is an amazing organization that is developing open source applications to free you from big corporation monopoly over your data. And I have a very close relationship with FUTO. They have given us a generous grant to help with the cause of bringing more open source software and hardware to developers. And if you use Immich and you enjoy using Immich, please do consider donating to FUTO. I'm gonna put the link to Immich license. The license is optional, but I would highly recommend donating a license or purchasing a license. If you don't have a license, it's okay. It's not like it should not be even called a license. It's kind of like a donation that you make to FUTO to help them further develop this open source application. It's a very powerful, capable application, and it costs real money to develop these applications. So it really, by donating money to the organization, you can help for the development of this application. I think it's like there are two tiers of the donation. It's like $20 or $100, but I'll put the link in the video description. And that's for Immich. And then there's file system. So with the file system here, you can actually access the file system on your device. So here I can go to home directory, for example, and I have two directories, Pi and Ubo user homes. And then here I have some files, and you can do a couple of things here. So if I go to info, it allows me to copy the whole directory and move it somewhere else. I can delete the directory. I can download the whole directory as a zip file, or I can upload a file to the directory. If I go back, if I, for example, click this, which one is that? Yeah, so for example, I have a WAV file here, and I can play audio. So this is like so if you notice, the audio is being played. Oh, this is too loud. So if you notice, the audio is being played both through my browser and also the speakers on device. So it's kind of like streaming over gRPC to the browser, and also streaming on device. I can actually, now you can only hear the audio coming through the browser. I'm gonna stop audio and then go back, and then same thing with the video. You can actually play video. I'm improving the video playback feature. It's a little bit choppy. Increase audio here. So you can see the video is playing here. In the browser, it's for whatever reason, it's frozen right now. Let me refresh. Yeah, so it's like a... So basically, this is good for... I'm gonna exit. This is good for kind of seeing what the video is. It's not really intended for like watching a high resolution video. It's like it's kind of like a video thumbnail. And yeah, so you can actually download the video or upload a video or whatever. Like this is kind of like your file system browser remotely. And yeah, so that's kind of an overview of file system. It has like, you can also look at images. Do I have an image here? It might not work. Yeah, I fixed something here. This is image. I had some cap on the image size. I've removed it, but you can actually see images as well. It's an issue I'm fixing right now. It has already been fixed. I didn't push it to this device. But yeah, that's an overview on file system. And let's exit app and go to settings. And yeah, so here in the settings we have network, where you can actually add Wi-Fi and look at your different IP addresses. If I go Ethernet, it says like this is my Ethernet IP address, and I'm gonna go back, so you can actually use the breadcrumb to navigate. I can go back to settings, and then here I can go to remote, and then these are different ways you can access your Pi for development mainly. Like you can enable, disable SSH, and then you can set up RPI Connect to remotely connect to your Raspberry Pi, and then look at the desktop or access SSH, and then there's VS Code Tunnel. You can run code CLI and then remotely tunnel to your Pi. And then under systems, we have several things here. Under users, you can manage your Linux users. So you can add a new user, you can delete a user or reset its password. So I can reset the password or delete it. So yeah, so basically this gives you kind of user management on Linux. And then you can go to general, and then under general, you can actually select beta versions, and this will allow you to receive beta updates. So if you want to kind of like receive the latest beta versions, you can opt in here. And then there's some debugging things like Python debugger or Visual. These are for kind of developers to debug applications. They're under general. And then here under services, you can actually disable different services or enable them. So I can, for example, go to Ethernet service, and like let's say like file system service, and then I can stop that service, change the log level from info to warning or error. I can go back to like turn off auto load or auto restart. So these are basically service management. You normally don't need this, but sometimes if you don't need a service, you want to kind of free some RAM or just like stop them, you can actually do it from here. And then there are other kind of things here like third party installing the driver audio or things like that, reinstalling driver audio. But that's pretty much it for the system. Let's go back to the hardware section. Okay, so here you can change the timeout for the display. So as you notice here, every once in a while the backlight for the display turns off. You can change the timeout or completely just like turn off backlight timeout. And then you can go to the camera section, and here you can actually connect USB cameras and then detect camera and switch your camera. Right now we have one onboard camera here, so that there's only one onboard camera, and that's the one that is selected right now. But then if you connect like a USB camera, I actually have one here, we can try it. So I have a USB camera here. I'm gonna connect this USB camera. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. And then go here and do detect cameras, and then we have camera one. I'm gonna select camera one and then go to viewfinder, and that's where the camera goes. So now you have this viewfinder that also shows up in web UI, and you can actually use this as your kind of home camera in a sense. If you're away, you can just have different cameras looking at different directions and look at each of them for kind of like home surveillance. And but yeah, so that's the camera feature. And what else? You can go back. So there is some new features also here. So the part that I was talking about, like lending your device camera, like your phone camera or the browser camera, they also show up here as other cameras, and you can select them as default camera. So if you have an old phone, you can hook it up here and use its camera instead of like using a USB camera or whatnot. Infrared. Okay, so here, this is a new feature. Here you can actually go to manage keys and register an infrared key. So I have like a infrared remote here. So if I can go to add keys, it says like press the button 5 times. I'm gonna go back here and like let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, it picked up the key, and then it's gonna ask me to give it a name. So you can give it any arbitrary name, but I'm gonna call this Hermes key. And later you can actually hook up this keys to your application logic. So whenever I press this key, Hermes agent is gonna get triggered and I can talk to Hermes agent. So I'm gonna do provide, and now I have this like Hermes key. I actually did another one the other time. Yeah, so I can like, this was Hermes dash key. I made this before, and then every time I press this, it's gonna replay that key. So there's a way that you can actually replay that IR key as well. So you can record your TV remote on, and then say this is my TV on, and then in your application logic you can say like replay this key. So we are in the replay key section. So in the manage key, I can go to remove keys and then remove the Hermes key, the old one, and now that one is gone. And yeah, so we like, this is basically for IR key management, and we're going to be expanding the capability under this section as we go on. If you have any suggestions, please please definitely let me know in the comment section of this video. I'm constantly looking for user feedback and things that people want to add to the capability of the device. Okay, so now going back, we were in the hardware section. Okay, assistant. This section has kind of evolved over time. So this is where you can configure your onboard assistant. So you can go to the speech recognition. There are different engines that you can set up. So for local speech processing, that is speech to text, you can select VOSC. I'm gonna add a capability so that you can switch between different models of VOSC. VOSC has a small model, medium model, or large model. They consume different amount of memory. On a lower end devices, I suggest smaller models, but basically I'm adding more kind of capability here so that you can have a finer grain control over which model each of these services use. And but these are the services that are supported right now. I'm expanding this list, but you can switch between Google, Assembly AI, DeepGram, OpenAI, and more to come. And then that's for speech recognition. On the language model, there are a bunch of different services that you can add. And there's one interesting thing here, that generic LLM. So if you have Hermes agent running, Hermes exposes the gateway API as an OpenAI compatible endpoint. So that means you can talk to Hermes agent via any tool that can speak that language. And for example, you can use OpenWebUI to as a way to chat with Hermes agent. But here you can also set up generic LLM endpoint as a way to connect Hermes agent to our assistant pipeline. And this would be basically the base URL would be your kind of like local host, and then you have to bring the Hermes API key, and then the model name is optional, and then you provide that, and then your generic LLM would be talking to Hermes agent, and Hermes agent in it behind the scene would talk to its model of choice. So you basically talk to the agent first, and the agent talks to the LLM of choice. Again, I'm adding more options here: Anthropic, Claude, and a few like Mistral, DeepSeek, and a few other ones have already been added. I haven't pushed the code onto this device, but the list is expanding. All right, speech synthesis, local speech synthesis enabled by Piper. I'm adding, I think, Kokoro. There's another local model that I'm adding support for that one. But you can also use Rhyme, 11 Labs, or Google or OpenAI for speech synthesis. And then image generator, OpenAI, and Google Gemini is currently supported. And then MCP tools, you can go here and then click add server, and that's where you can add different kinds of MCP tools. So we support STDIO MCP tools, which are MCP tools that run locally on your device. So these MCP tools usually use Docker or UV or NPM, node to run locally. So they need a runtime environment, which is available on device. And then you can also select SSE, which is a remote MCP server. So for example, if you have something like Zapier, you can connect your Zapier endpoint here and then talk to your Zapier automation and automate things. Or maybe you have an MCP server exposed inside N8N, and then you can connect that MCP server here and then talk to that MCP server. And this is where if you select SSE, you just provide the URL here. I'm going to cancel right now. Examples of MCPs for those who are not familiar would be like, for example, weather API or Airbnb search or flight search or things like that. And basically, if you add weather MCP, it would look up live weather information through OpenWeather or kind of AccuWeather API, whatever MCP that you're providing. What else? And then under manage section, you can actually like delete API keys, reset the API keys. So this is basically for managing all the engines that you have added there. So there's more work here. I'm adding kind of like custom wake word functions. So you can say Hermes, hey Hermes, or hey OpenClaw, or hey X and Y, and then routing that you can kind of route these to different models. So you can say, for example, if you say hey Hermes, use local Vosk and local Piper, and then have some other flags, kind of like, so these kind of pre-configured presets that gets activated based on the wake word or utterances that are detected. But it's still that work is not yet finished. It'll probably come out as part of version 2.1 later. If I can kind of polish it and test it, it might even arrive in version 2.0. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. And here for Docker, you can add Docker registries. Sometimes Docker has throttling or limits on the amount of pulls or pushes that you can do, but you can add a Docker registry here, Docker Hub, or any registry. You may have your own private registry that you want to add here and maintain your own Docker images there and backup even your Dockers on your own private registry. Yes, and then you can stop Docker service here. So this is kind of Docker management and accessibility. This is where you can select the speech, text to speech or speech to text engine. This will probably go away and then get merged into Assistant, but right now it's a separate section where you can select your text to speech or speech to text engine. This will probably get merged into the Assistant and it won't be here anymore in the future versions. So that's pretty much it. One thing I wanted to show you going back to the apps was the remote access. So under remote access, I was talking about Pangolin, and it's one of my favorite services to expose the resources that you're running locally. So if I go here so right now, if you notice, I'm running this on local network, but let's say you're not home, you're on the run, and then you want to still access these services remotely. So here I can go to Ubo-6J tunnel 2.to. So this is a publicly accessible domain. You can try to access this, but it's going to ask you for an access key. So you won't be able to access my dashboard. but I have already authenticated myself. It remembers me. But you can see like I'm back to the same dashboard, but now I'm accessing this through Pangolin assigned domain name. So the good thing with Pangolin is that you do not even need a domain name. They give you a free domain name, and here this one is tunneled.to, and then you just like pick your own subdomain, and so it's like free. It gives you free subdomains. It's the service of my choice, really. And I actually met the founders in open source around a year ago, and they showed me this service, and I really loved it, and I've been using it since then. And the setup is super simple. Now that we're talking about it, let's just do it. Like, so if I go to pull images, all you need to do is to go to pangolin .net, I think is the address. Yeah, pangolin.net. Sign up and get an ID and secret and copy and paste it here, and then that's it. And then you have your site connector running, and then you go to Pangolin dashboard. Let me actually show it to you. I have, yeah, so let me show you the Pangolin dashboard. So you go to Pangolin dashboard, and here under resources, you can basically add a resource, and then this is the IP address of my local device on the local network, and then you have to specify this port, which is the Envoy proxy port, and this will connect to Envoy, and Envoy will expose the gRPC kind of API to web gRPC. But that's all you need to do, and it gives you a URL, and then you can set authentication. So right now I have set authentication to PIN protected, so you can do password protected in other, or enable SSO. It's a very capable system, but it's like free, and it's really my go-to service. You can optionally, if you're a pro user, you can self-host this reverse proxy on a VPS running on DigitalOcean, Volter, or whatever VPS of choice that you have, instead of like using Pangolin cloud infrastructure. But the good thing with Pangolin cloud infrastructure is that you don't have to do any maintenance, and it's free up to a number of users. But for most people who are running home labs, it's pretty much free. Before I conclude the video, I want to show you a sneak peek of something exciting that I'm working on. As you can see here, I have watchos application running on Apple Watch. So the thing with Apple Watch is that it has a very similar form factor as our embedded display here. This is a 1.5-inch display, and Apple Watch is kind of in the same ballpark and form factor. And then the code also runs on iPhone, so we have like a cross-platform application which is under development on iPhone and iOS. And this basically, I can navigate here, go back, you can see all these kind of like update at the same time. Back here, settings, hardware, and camera. And I want to show you something. So here, if I say detect cameras, it's gonna detect iPhone native camera. I'm gonna select the iPhone camera and then go to the viewfinder. I'm running like a sim cam, so apparently like a simulator cannot access the camera, and this thing keeps crashing, and I don't think it's gonna come back on now. Like this is like a very bad limitation of simulator on iPhone, but basically this is gonna show iPhone camera and use iPhone camera as a source of camera. I'm gonna have to skip this for this demo. I got it working with SimCam. The SimCam seems to be buggy and keeps crashing, but I'm gonna go back here and then select one of the other cameras, camera 1, go to the viewfinder, and you can see kind of my hand here, and that's the USB camera. Here you can see the USB camera, and basically I can go back and then select the other camera. This is the front camera, and do the viewfinder, and like this stream happens like on the web, watch, and kind of on Apple like sorry, on iOS iPhone. So this is like a quick sneak peek of what is under development. Here you can actually play around with the settings of the device. I can kind of like change the LED ring color and just experimental stuff, or turn off the display, turn it back on, and change the volume, play a chime. Yeah. And then you can also get audio stream through the watch and talk through the watch and the iPhone. So it has like a microphone going back up here, compress the microphone and talk to the device, stream audio and whatnot. So I'm gonna have like an in-depth video on the software architecture and how we're doing this universal user interface. That's what we call it. And I actually have like an Android version of that. I'm gonna skip that for this video. There's Android and also Wear OS version that you can run it on Pixel Watch. And so this is an exciting development. It's going to take me a while to polish this up and submit application to the stores. So don't expect this to be ready. The source code is actually on GitHub. If you have kind of Xcode environment familiar with running, like building apps and stuff, you can grab the source code and run it yourself on your Apple Watch and iPhone. But the process of like getting this approved through Apple and polishing it up is going to take probably a long time. And also, I might actually do like a beta release through test flight, so that might be actually easier for people in the community who want to try it. They would just give me their email address and install test flight, and then they can kind of download the test version of the app before it goes through Apple Store and gets published in Apple Store. But I still have a bunch of stuff to do here. And I want to make sure everything is well tested and there are no issues. And right now things are not as polished, and this is still experimental. But I feel kind of this is quite exciting, to be able to use your watch to control the device at home that you have at home. And yeah, so that I just wanted to share this with you as a last item. Please let me know if you have any comments, suggestions in the comment section of the video. And until the next video, have a good day and talk to you later.